Coming up on Network Africa, Ebola virus in the DRC spreads to Mbandaka city as the country receives 4,000 doses of Ebola vaccines. Fears of political repression as Burundians vote in a referendum to extend presidential terms from 5 to 7 years. And 19 people are killed as Egypt's military and police forces clashed in Sinai. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Nwaka. We begin in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the World Health Organization says it will convene an emergency committee on Friday to consider the international risks of the Ebola outbreak. The UN spokesperson Christian Latmire says the expert committee will decide whether to declare a public health emergency of international concern, which will trigger more international involvement, mobilizing research and resources. The case has been confirmed in the Mbandaka city of about 1 million people, prompting fears that the disease could be increasingly difficult to control. 42 people have now been infected and 23 are known to have died.
Today at 10:40 in the morning, we have 4,000 doses that are arriving in Kinshasa safely. These 4,000 that are here in these boxes are going to be replenishment doses. We intend to send them soon this week to complete the first installment of vaccines. I just want to say that these 8,000 doses in total, the 4,000 here and the 4,000 in Kinshasa are just the first part. Merck, the vaccine manufacturer, has reassured WHO that we have access to further doses of vaccine as necessary during the outbreak.
In Burundi, long queues have built up outside polling stations where a referendum is being held on controversial constitutional changes that could pave the way for President Pierre Nkurunziza to stay in office for 2 more 7-year terms. Local media reports that the campaign has been marred by violence and intimidation. Students were ordered to register to vote and people were denied medical services if they did not have the voters' card. Well, the result of the referendum is almost a foregone conclusion, with most opponents exiled, silenced or killed. Burundi has been ravaged by political violence since 2015, when Mr. Pierre Nkurunziza ran for a 3rd term. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora, Mrs. Dabiri-Erewa, is seeking an urgent review of the early warning signal, EWS, put in place by the Ministries of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria and South Africa early last year. She made the call in the wake of the latest killings of 2 young Nigerians in South Africa, saying Nigeria must speed up the process of finalizing its implementation by South Africa. According to her, the review and urgent implementation have become important because the attacks in South Africa is increasing at an alarming rate. In a statement, the presidential aide lamented that the efforts that led to the establishment of the EWS signal by both countries are not working, as the present mechanisms seem to do little or nothing to prevent the killings. She also appealed to Nigerians living in South Africa to shelve their proposed mass protests and await immediate intervention from both countries to stop the killings and bring the culprits to justice. And yes, she joins us live from our Abuja studios, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Foreign Affairs and Diaspora. Many thanks for joining us, Ms. Dabiri-Erewa.
Good evening. Nice to be with you. Good evening.
The murder of 2 young Nigerians is the latest in the killings of Nigerians in South Africa. How ineffective has the early warning signal put in place by the Ministries of Foreign Affairs in Nigeria and South Africa since early last year been?
Well, the early warning mechanism actually needs to be finalized. It needs to be implemented. And from all indications, the ministries of foreign affairs of both countries are doing everything to make that happen. You know, there are some details that needs to be worked out, but it needs to be finalized as soon as possible so that implementation, proper and full implementation, can begin. It needs to also be strengthened where need be. You know, but I was in South Africa a few weeks back, about 2 weeks ago, and that was the same day that some Nigerians had to go to court for in Rustenburg. You recall that before these latest killings, something happened in Rustenburg, and we have 14 Nigerians that are currently in court for what they call violation of public order or something like that. Now, it's so bad that the community, the occupants of that community in Rustenburg, the South Africans, have said if the judge releases those Nigerians on bail, they're going to burn all the houses. And the threat was put in place when 3 days later, someone's house in Nigeria was around that community and it was burnt to death. So it's becoming worse, it's alarming, and it's something that we need to really take as serious as we should. However, we need to tell our own citizens, our Nigerian brothers and sisters, the home truth. You can't be in another person's country doing drugs, prostitution, rape, trafficking, and it's so persistent and very high. So you cannot continue to do that in any person's country. If you cannot abide by the rules of that country, then leave the country. So that is one thing we should look at and tell ourselves the home truth. I was taken to a particular location in South Africa and I was actually embarrassed at what I saw. Nigerians being loud and lousy, drugs, loud cars, big cars, are making a whole lot of noise. We need to obey laws of other countries.
Yes,
at the same time, however, South Africa needs to punish those who commit a crime and not make one bad apple spoil the whole bunch.
Indeed, Mrs. Dabiri-Erewa, that is exactly what I was going to say, because when you talk about all of the crimes and all of the things that they are committing going against the law of South Africa, this is bad. But we understand that the police in South Africa is not also helping matters. We also hear that there was some sort of threat recently about foreign shop owners who have been threatened to leave Durban. Are you aware of this? And are Nigerians also part of the foreigners that are threatened?